Center of Excellence Local Government. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. As long as one can, I believe you all can, so that's great. I'll give Jerome a moment here and is Emily ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, great. Good day, everyone. Welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the City of Reading Planning Commission for Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. Acknowledgement of the Peace Planning Commission members. I am Wayne Beeler. I am the chairman. Bob Conklin is here in the third floor conference room, and Peter Rye is also here in the third floor conference room. On Zoom, we have Commissioner Nelson DeLeon and Commissioner Lee Olson, and I believe we have Wilson Fusey on the phone somewhere. Yeah. So with that, we do have a quorum, and I will ask for a motion to approve the Planning Commission agenda as was emailed on Friday.
So move.
A second. Or okay, Peter, very good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Very good. And we have an agenda. First item for review on the agenda is Jan and Will Properties at 810 Windsor Street. Final land development plan. Do we have someone here representing the plan today? Who's supposed to be here representing?
I'm here, Wayne. Did you hear me?
Oh, yeah, there you go, Dan. Thanks. I thought it was you. Yes, I can hear you now.
This project's been approved, and the problem is coming up with a small letter of credit for the improvements. It would be nice if we could work this one out with the brief letter of credit, and then they can tie it in with the construction or the remodeling of the entire building, because what we have to do for the land development is peanuts compared to reconstructing that 3-story building into 8 apartments. So it would be nice if we could get this signed and sealed, and then when they can get financing together, that they can complete the project.
This plan, I could not find any records that it was approved.
Oh,
But it's in the position to be approved,
yeah,
and we would have to reaffirm approval regardless.
right.
Yeah, we were waiting on because they needed to come up with the letter of the developers agreement, and I haven't been able to, they haven't been able to come up and come up with the financing for that and sign it.
Just
So
for those
it-
planning
everything's
commission members, that were not on board at the time, this plan goes back about 2 years. And it is an adaptive reuse project involving 34,720 square feet of building located at 810 Windsor Street. It will be converted into 8 residential apartment units and shall be on 3 floors and 1 commercial use on the first floor. The plan is in an acceptable position to be approved. The question that was brought up just now was about the municipal improvements. And I think if we could have the simplified agreement put in place for this project, we can make sure that everything that is required by Public Works, which may be curbs and sidewalks, for this project can be completed.
That sounds great. Are there any comments from any commissioners?
My review was dated May 16th, 2022.
And just to
Yeah.
clarify, what we're, for the shortened version, we are requiring, or we're not requiring letter of credit, we're tying everything in with the CO.
CO.
Okay, so there will be no letter of credit required for those.
So,
And I can put notes on that to say that the occupancy permit will not be supplied until all the required improvements are made, like we did on the other ones for the brief letter agreement.
That'd be great. And Dan, can you send me an email, just refreshing my recollection? I believe you had called me and I was away, as to which ones you need the brief agreements for.
What's your email?
It's M Mayfield, 2 M's, AYFIELD, at HVMLlaw.com, at Victor Matt Luck law.com. So there's 2 L's.
Michelle's always copied on my emails too.
Oh, okay, I can get it off there. So Michelle Mayfield at HENLlaw.com.
H as in hat, V as in Victor, M as in Matt, L as in Luck, law, LAW.com. And as Jerome said, you should have my email from one of his communications.
Okay. So I'll send you the list of projects that need the brief letter agreement.
Yes, please.
yeah, very good. Okay,
So if the commission is so inclined to grant approval of the plan, just because there's no record of it, we'll just use the term approval rather than reaffirmation. You could include in the single motion authorizing the chairman to sign the appropriate agreements.
do I hear a motion to give conditional approval to the preliminary final land development plan for Jan and Will Properties at 810 Windsor Street with the conditions that the simple improvements agreement will be completed and that everything that is on Hawk Valley Associates review letter dated May 16th, 2022 is met before signature, and that the improvements agreement and what's the other agreement?
I don't believe there's a stormwater agreement required
Not
for
for
this
this.
project.
Okay, that the improvements agreement can be signed by the chairman when received.
Lee Olson will make that motion.
Thank you, Lee. And do we hear a second?
Bob Conklin.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Okay, question on the motion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Very good. We have that ready for you, Dan.
Okay, that'll be great. That'll get some of this stuff out of the way.
Yeah, and I think this will work out a little bit better for you with this simpler improvements agreement because of the complexity of that parking lot, that whole parking lot thing that has to happen there.
Yeah,
So, thank you, Dan.
okay, thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have the Auto Repair Center at 600 South 9th Street, and I'll turn it over to Jerome for a review and update on the progress.
Hey, this plan was reviewed on May 17th, 2022. This is a revised preliminary / final land development plan. It involves a auto repair center that will be completed as part of a revitalization project at 600 South 9th Street. The applicant had provided a presentation last month. This is a 32,230 square foot building. We had asked for a breakdown of how much space the auto spa will be using and how much will either remain as vacant or occupied by other uses. The applicant has the opportunity to pursue further development of the property as a flex space. But we'll need to know that it should be identified on the plan what components would be remaining. Other comments that were presented within the review letter are the biggest one was the curb, sidewalk, and driveway, in which Tim Kroll has reviewed. Tim is on the line, I believe.
Yes, I'm here.
And Tim, did you want to say anything about the curb, sidewalks, and driveway cuts?
Yeah, nothing to add since the last discussion. I think the idea was that they didn't know exactly what the uses were going to be, so they would prefer to have those cuts remain as is. And we were agreeable with that, with the idea that some of them could use some upgrading. Some of them do appear, not all of them, but some of them appear deteriorated and could use some patching.
We've also asked the fire and rescue department to make sure that the fire hydrants are in appropriate locations considering the use. And the improvements on this site would either be none or very minor for this site. I can't think of any, Tim, unless you can, that would require an improvements agreement.
I was just gonna ask Tim,
No, I don't think that would be of the scale that the planning commission would typically require an improvements agreement.
that was regarding these curb cuts.
Yes,
Any repairs. Okay,
yes, there's no stormwater, nothing else from Public Works would require improvements.
Everything else in our review letter can be cleared up with notes on the plan.
I believe we can do that. The folks are trying to restore this building and they have come up with a use for a portion of it, but they have no plans for the other. Now, the auto repairs could maybe expand into some of these other areas, but then we'd have to come back to planning again. And we can put a note to that manner on there.
I would recommend that the amount of space that you have identified as vacant or abandoned, you would identify that the use may be occupied by a permitted use within the MC zoning district. And that a zoning and building permit would be required. That way you may not have to come back, but if there are other implications that we need to see regarding driveway cuts or sidewalks or curbing or sanitary sewer, then we would need to see the plan. I'll help you out with the notes.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair because it's the fellow that wants to open the repair space is just a young fellow, and it's going to take his resources to just to work on that, and then they can look at possibly doing something more with this building. It's a nice building, and I think it can be utilized in a nice fashion.
And we don't need a sewer module on this one?
No. Okay. Right. 2 employees.
Okay. Very good. Are there any other comments from staff? Any comments from the commissioners? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to give conditional approval to the Auto Repair Center at 600 South 9th Street with the provision that the items from the Hawk Valley Associates review of May 17th, 2022 are completed to the satisfaction of staff. Okay, Peter makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
Lee Olson will second.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, and there we go. Thanks again, Dan. Really appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you. I got two more later on. So
Okay,
we'll touch base.
boy. All right. Next on our agenda is the O'Neill Storage Facility, the final land development plan. And I will turn this over to Jerome for an update.
Okay, this plan was submitted. This is now a final plan application. My review is dated May 19th, 2022. The plan now involves a reduction in the number of self-storage units. It's down to 21. The site is a 15,424 square foot property located at 1403 Chester Street. The site is use is permitted within this is the MC zone, or I'm sorry, the R3 zoning district. The applicant was provided zoning relief for this use and property. A lot of the items were cleared up, and we had a lot of discussion with regards to the billboard. The billboard does have adequate, as you can see on the plan, does have appropriate access to it from all directions. It's not cut off by the use. There was also discussion about the sidewalks and curbing. The applicant has brought the sidewalks to the driveway apron on the property. The rest of the Chester Street moving lead to the east. Is that correct? Yeah, to the east would be still in a condition of no sidewalks, and there'll be no sidewalks located along the Warren Street bypass. It is my opinion that the sidewalks along Warren Street bypass would not be desirable in that location. They're on the other side of Warren Street bypass, they would be, but on this side, it seems to be really impossible or would be inviting other trouble. In lieu of the sidewalk extensions, I would like, and I think Tim may weigh in on this, is the possibility of the segment of Chester Street that is located in the front is in a state of poor condition. Tim, did you want to say anything further on this?
Yeah, that was something we talked about earlier, I guess, earlier this year, maybe February. The understanding was that there's a gully, a rutting along the edge in the right of way, and that would be considered as part of the improvements to stabilize that, pave it and put it into a drivable condition. And that would be what we'd be looking for.
We have some stormwater management comments that are still remaining on the plan. There does not appear to be a PennDOT permit at all that will be required at this point. We thought that there might be, but there will not be. There would be no NPDES permit. There would be an earth disturbance permit for the site that's required. And they may even have. Is there anyone from John Hoffert's office?
Yes, Karen Crater is here. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, good. I'm here tonight. Pretty much, we have gone through the review. we agree with, the plan before you is not the one that was last submitted, but PennDOT is doing improvements along the Warren Street bypass. So those buildings that are on the eastern boundary are not proposed there. So there was actually, since the last time you saw this, which is the plan you're looking at, there's been a reduction in the number of units to 21. I just wanted to make you aware of that. The conversation with Tim Kroll by the applicant and the improvement of Chester Street included installing curb on flanking the driveway as it enters the site. The curb returns would be installed there. That would be part of the improvements to that Chester Street area that Tim was talking about. There's no water or sewer service planned for this facility. We do have a waiver request before you regarding groundwater recharge calculations that was submitted. So that would be something that we would like the planning commission to approve tonight or make recommendation for approval.
While we're on that, we did review that. We said due to the noted depth to bedrock and inability to provide the required separation distance, we would support the waiver request.
We have not at this point received any fire or emergency review comments. I do not know if the board has received any that they could pass on to us. To date, we have not received anything.
I have not received any.
I haven't heard anything either.
Okay. Other than that, if anyone has any questions, I certainly can answer them.
I have a quick question, Karen. This is Tim.
Sure.
I'm actually looking on another screen here of the updated version with the reduced number of units. And I'm
Yes.
looking at that driveway with those curb returns, and I'm seeing line work, but I'm not seeing proposed curbing or an indication that driveway improvements would be on there. Am I looking at the right place or the right drawing?
You're looking at the right drawing. That was the submission that was Jerome's review. Once we got Jerome's review, this latest review, we did add the curb returns, so they would be installed. And so the plan you're looking at is the one that his review was based on, but our
Yes.
future plan would have the curb returns on it. So
Okay,
you're
I
correct in
see.
that.
Okay,
don't-
very good. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Any other comments from staff?
This will require a municipal improvements agreement.
That's from water situations.
There is some stormwater, but we can incorporate that all into the municipal improvements agreement, and the stormwater management agreement would be required.
That was get with management.
Very good.
Then, let me just make a note here to myself.
First thing would be to take the action on the waiver.
Yeah. Any comments from any of the commissioners?
So what happens to stormwater? Where does it go?
Karen, you want to?
Sure. There is an existing catch basin that you can see located on the eastern boundary with a pipe that goes out to an existing catch basin located along Warren Street bypass. Our system, stormwater system, is going to collect the stormwater runoff from our site into what's labeled as catch basin 1 and catch basin 2. The revised plan that was last submitted in April shows the pipe coming from our proposed catch basin. Let's see, that's catch basin 2. instead of going directly to the inlet located along Warren Street bypass, it now goes over to the existing catch basin that is no longer being relocated, but is going to stay in that position, and then connects via the existing pipe into the inlet at Warren Street bypass. So it's been revised a little bit from what you see here, but essentially it's collecting all the runoff on the site and through a level pipe will discharge into that existing catch basin. We are including a snout element to the existing catch basin, which will take care of water quality for the site runoff that is going to be entering that catch basin.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the commissioners?
Well, I see that there's a note on here, 3B, for the turning radius for a 30-foot vehicle.
Yes, they provided a response to that. I think the response was accepted by Jim Dimmerley.
We were, the 30-foot truck, as we showed it going through the site, would have to stop and maybe back up and make that turn. It could go through the site, but not in one fell sweep, if you will. So what we did was we looked at like a FedEx style truck, which its overall length was 22.6 feet, and took that radius going through because it equated or was comparable to a U-Haul truck that they call it their 15-foot truck rental option, which overall length is 22 and a half feet or a little bit over. So it's comparable to that, to the turning radius of the FedEx truck that we had available to us. So that, in fact, on the revised plans that we had submitted after the review that we got, shows that size truck being able to travel through the site in one continuous path and not have to stop and back up.
And there, you can go in multiple directions within the
Yes.
site.
Mhm. That's correct.
Thank you.
And there will be no office nor employees on this site?
No. It's strictly for storage.
Any other comments from the commissioners? With that, first, we need to make a motion to accept a waiver for the groundwater recharge calculations as defined in section 505-125 of the stormwater ordinance. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Okay, thank you, Nelson. And a second.
Lee Olson will second.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. And we are ready for conditional approval on this one?
Yeah, I have no doubt that John Hoppert's office is capable of making the revisions. There are no outside permit reviews. So everything else should be fall into place. Karen, do you have any objections with any other comments?
No, I don't believe so. I think I had sent an email to you and that was our main concerns, and I think we addressed all those, so I'm good with that.
Therefore, we're acceptable to conditional approval.
Emily had stepped out when the issue arose about the fire review.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
Emily had stepped out, and there was a question as to whether any comments have been received from the Department of Fire and Rescue.
It's comment 6 in my review.
Oh, yeah. And you haven't received any? sure that.
We'll get that.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm sure that, you know,
I can follow up with fire.
great. Very good. With that, do I hear a motion to grant conditional approval to the O'Neill Storage Land Development Plan for 1403 Chester Street? With the provisions that the comments of the Hawk Valley Associates review letter of May 19th, 2022 are met to the satisfaction of staff. And that the chairman can endorse the municipal improvements agreement and don't need that, just the endorse the municipal improvements agreement when,
And stormwater management.
and the stormwater management plan when received.
Lee Olson will make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Second?
second,
Okay, thank you, Nelson. Okay. Any question on the motion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
aye,
Aye. Opposed? Very good. And we can get this one moving forward then. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Next on our list is the Burn Street Car Wash at 1725 North Fifth Street. And I'll turn it over to Jerome for an update.
Great. This plan was previously submitted to you. This is a revised preliminary plan application for a car wash. This will be classified as Lot 1 of the Burn Street development, which is devoted to a car wash. Our review letter is dated May 20th, 2022. As mentioned, this property is located, Lot 1 will be a 1.82 acre site containing a car wash facility. We've had several discussions with the applicant after our last planning commission meeting, including a Zoom meeting. And the applicant has resubmitted the plan, and we have the comments that have been issued. There are still a number of comments that need to be resolved. I would say that there are a variety of comments for stormwater management, for site accessibility, and curbs, sidewalks, and driveway cuts. Those are the primary areas of concern. There will be outside agencies that may require review, most notably Berks County Conservation District. They most likely will need an NPDES permit for the site, and other improvements. But this is at a preliminary plan stage. And the things that I want to focus on are site accessibility, driveway cuts, and sidewalks. Is there anyone representing the applicant here?
Yeah, this is Greg Bosher, Jerome.
Okay.
And the applicant's also here, John Rowland and Andy Rowland.
Evening.
So the discussion points were, I guess, the driveway cuts that were identified by Jim Dimmerling. Let's keep in mind that we're looking at probably both lots when we're making a lot of these discussions. So lots 1 and 2 will just, we had recommended the common driveway to serve both of those as far as a point of ingress and egress along Burn Street. We do have concerns with the existing access point that's located or designated for Lot 2, which is in very close proximity to 6th Street. That's an existing driveway now, but it's going to be utilized in a different fashion. And Greg, what we'd like to see is possibly if we can shift the road of the driveway so it can comply. Right now, we're about 25 feet away.
Yeah, we would actually like to keep it if possible, Jerome, because obviously it's existing and most, the front there with the building with the office was to maintain to be existing as well. So there wouldn't probably be a lot of space to shift it around very much. I saw where you had the comments as far as the ingress and the egress, really what's between lot 1 and 2. And I saw the latest comment where I think we can put something together and work with you on that as well. We tried to obviously provide you what we thought we heard with having the ability to turn left in and really just keep it as a one-way out next to the storage where lots 1 and 2 abut each other. But
Would you need a left-hand turn lane at the intersection that's closest to 6th Street?
we could, a left turn out.
I mean, if you eliminate the left turn out,
That's something I think we could discuss.
it would be
If
less,
that would help that concern.
it'll be less of a hazard.
Okay,
Yeah, the left turn out there.
It'd be a right-hand turn only.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. I don't know what the other commissioners were thinking.
If that's acceptable to the applicant, I would agree with that.
Okay.
It is a pre-existing driveway cut there now. So I don't suspect that the volume of traffic is going to increase substantially since it is a self-storage facility. If there was for the car wash, it would be a different story.
understood. I think that's a fair statement. That the storage would have a more minimal type traffic use.
The next area of concern were sidewalks. Sidewalks we identified as being they're either in poor or fair condition or do not
Yeah.
exist.
What we did after the last time we got together by Zoom is we walked the entire perimeter of 5th Street, Burn Street, and then 6th Street with Chris Lovell. And he identified the locations that where curb and sidewalk should either be replaced or added to the site. And we were in agreement with where that would occur.
I think another area of concern was the either no sidewalks or there were sidewalks may have existed at one time, but are no longer, they've been taken over by vegetation. Are the sidewalks along 5th Street?
Right, we were actually going to extend it up to the adjacent property.
Okay.
So we'd probably work with, pardon me.
Someone's dog doesn't
Work
agree.
with Tim's office to go ahead and bring that together.
That
As
makes,
far as
that makes a lot of sense. And then the sidewalks then that are existing on Burn Street are in relatively fair condition. So Chris has provided you, I guess, the directions on that.
Yeah, Greg, what about the sidewalks that are not existing on Burn Street? You mentioned 5th Street. Are you also doing sidewalks on Burn Street?
Yeah, we were also looking at sidewalks on Burn Street. But with like the steep side on 6th Street, that was not required.
Yeah, I agree that you can't do it on 6th Street because of the topography.
Yeah, that's a rough one. I've walked that many a time.
Good, that helps out quite a bit. Greg, you have any comments on stormwater management?
There, you're correct. We're making the application to the Conservation District for the approval process with them. Things are on schedule for us with that.
Sanitary sewage disposal. We typically ask, and you provided an answer, I think, in your response letter, but something that would need to go to Tim's office or Tim can provide it to the person who reviews the sanitary sewage design to determine if a planning module will be required for the site. We discussed last time that this is going to be, the car wash is going to be included a recycling system. So the amount of water will, the water. wastewater will not discharge into the system.
Correct. We're anticipating the car wash to have a sewer planning module. The storage there will not need one.
Okay. Tim, do you have anything?
So Greg, you'll be sending us the planning modules, or is it for this lot here, the lot one?
For the car wash.
Yeah, okay, so we'll expect that. Yeah, just
Yeah.
make sure to copy Deb on that too.
Of course.
It seems like all the comments are going to be addressed in one fashion or other. Having said that, I would recommend preliminary plan approval.
I did have one other comment. We were discussing the loading dock out there on Burn Street. What is the fate of that loading dock, Greg?
I think the loading dock, Tim, it was okay with Chris when we met. Then I saw that you had some concerns as far as how the loading dock would work. So obviously on the plan, we maintained the loading space because I think you wanted to check some ordinances or somebody else in your office.
Well,
And-
I think we wanted to discuss that here, and I don't know if Jerome and, Jim has had a chance to look at that. Jerome, you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, we included that comment in the review letter. I went out and looked at it, did not see it as a problem with the building. I'm not sure if that's going to encroach upon the sidewalk area. I don't think so, but is there a need for the loading dock at that location?
I guess really was, we look at the loading dock, we would probably prefer to keep more vacuum spaces in the back, like where the word lot one is located, where we actually have created the space for a loading dock. Reality for us is it's probably going to be done off hours and in front of the pay stations at one of the entry doors at that location for the supplies to be brought either in or out of the facility. So we're really just trying to complete or dot the i's for the city as far as making sure that you have an adequate loading space. But really, it can just be done off hours at one of the docks in front of the pay station, whether it be in front of the car wash bay itself or the other door that's, approximately 15 feet in front of the pay station.
We had mentioned that is a non-conforming feature of the building. And I think we could address it, Tim, in the final plan review.
Yeah, just a heads up. And I think the only thing, and maybe Jim Dimmerling will have a different opinion or have the same opinion, that the way it's used is right now that loading dock is located right on the building line. So it's right on the right-of-way line, which means there's 13 feet between the opening of the dock and the curb. And then you add another 8 feet or so, you have less than 20 feet of parking width. Will the truck, whatever the size is, will it stick out into the drive lane? So that was my concern, is when, I don't know what size trucks would be doing the delivery, a box truck or a pickup truck, I'm not sure. But would they be sticking out and blocking the drive lane in their normal course of doing deliveries? It's kind of an odd position, an odd place to put a loading dock.
Yeah, I understand where, it's located, Tim, and I don't disagree that it probably depends on the size of the truck. I think for the applicant, I think if there was a way to have the loading space maybe be off use type times where they would load and they could load, in front of the pay stations, I think you could probably create a win-win to remove that. We could probably put that there and be complete if the city would approve an approach like that.
Yeah.
The other area of concern was that
So that would work for you, Tim?
I'd like to see it, but that sounds creative. That sounds like it would work.
Okay.
the other area of concern is we wanted to make sure that the vehicle that's coming to do the deliveries doesn't have to do odd turns for the delivery. It can load and unload at that location and be able to leave or depart without making 3-point turns on Burn Street.
Okay, we can
Yeah.
run a truck turn for you, Jerome.
Yeah, a good point too, because I believe you're allowed to park on Burn Street. I don't think it's restricted parking.
No, I
Did
don't
you
think
look-
there's any restrictions either, Tim.
Yeah, so there could be cars, on either side of that driveway, so your turning movements would be critical there. You don't want to hit the parked cars.
We can work with you on that in the final plan.
Although,
Okay, thank you.
actually, you know what? I'm looking at it on Street View right now, and there is a sign. It says no parking on this block. I don't know why. Something else to be looked into. I don't know why there would be no parking on this block. Unless that was a request of the owner, and then the city obliged because of turning movements, pickup trucks and tow trucks and things like that. A lot of times on the heavier commercial lots, we get those requests and we honor that by putting in a no parking zone. That's something you want to look into in the final plan. Do you want that continued no parking on that block?
Okay, we can discuss that and get back.
Okay,
And if you do want no parking, if there's an ordinance requiring that, would you take
Yeah,
the cost?
if there isn't one already, and there probably isn't, yeah, any permanent change, and I'm looking some more, there is no parking on this block on both sides, both east and westbound sides of Burn Street on this block. So, yes, good point. If you wanted to continue, we would need an ordinance because I'm going to guess there isn't one already.
And vice
And
versa, if there is one, and we need to repeal it.
if you want it repealed, correct.
Michelle, could you, when you get a chance, let me know the review of that, if that's in your domain? So I
I-
understand where it's located.
Yes.
Thank you.
Greg, did you have a chance to submit for the HOP permit?
Not yet. It wasn't that long ago that we really walked everything, and that plan was being worked out actually as we speak.
Okay, but you agree that there probably needs to be one to be pulled?
Yeah, I walked it as well with Mr. Lovell and the team for the project with the applicant, and everybody was agreeable.
Yeah, the HOP and NPDS permit will take time.
Yeah. Very good. Any comments from the commissioners? Hearing none. Let's see here.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Oh, hi, Will, there you are.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
think I
Will.
was muted. Okay. Thank you. I just have one quick question. It's not as much of a concern as it had been on the plan we just approved, because the access seems to be a lot easier for this site, but has there been any discussion yet on the billboard and any easement for the access of that? I know this is only for the preliminary, but I was just wondering about that.
Yeah, there's just really plenty of access around this site. Most of the access drives are either 26 or 28 feet. So it's pretty good for access to maintain all the way around.
Okay, that's good. I just think from our precedent that if we require some note or something on the plan to that effect, I believe it's the standard procedure, or whatever Public Works would recommend, or our planning consultant would be prudent.
Certainly.
Yeah, the easement will be, should be created around it. That makes it all for site accessibility within the property. And then if it's with an outside agency, then they could have the 2 or 3-way easement agreement.
Agreed. That's something that we were going to be doing in the final plan, was all the easement agreements for the cross easements.
Okay. Any other comments?
Jerome, I don't know if you pulled these numbers directly off of the drawing set, but if you look at number 1, it says that the site is proposed by these two. It says 1.82 acres and 2.12 acres. Then you go down to number 2, and it starts defining lot 1 and lot 2, 1.55 and 2.37. Somebody is losing 0.02 acres somewhere.
Probably at the right of way, is that correct?
Yes. There's always things that get netted out. I think it was probably a gross net.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I looked at
Yeah,
It's not
we
something
can
I'm
certainly
throwing.
follow up on it, Bob.
I looked at that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I would have never caught that.
And I was, when I type of Bodega, I'll go,
Just want to make sure everybody's happy at the end when when we sign this away.
someone's losing land.
Yeah, you're right. Somebody will catch that.
Very good. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a motion for conditional approval of the revised preliminary plan for lot 1 of the Burn Street Car Wash at 1725 North Fifth Street, with the condition that the comments of the Hawk Valley Associates review letter of May 20th, 2022 are resolved to the satisfaction of staff.
Bob Conklin makes that motion.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Second?
Lee Olson seconds.
Okay, Peter was first, so we'll take Peter's for this time. Okay, any question on the motion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. And since we kind of talked about these things in
You had to talk about them both.
yeah, since we talked about these in congruence, may I hear a motion to approve the conditional approval of the revised preliminary plan of lot 2 at 1704 North Sixth Street, with the condition that the items on the review letter by Hawk Valley Associates of May 20th, 2022 are resolved to the satisfaction of staff.
I'll offer that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Will. And a second?
Peter?
Peter seconds. Any question on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Very good. We have some preliminary plans and we look forward to the final submission of the final plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the Planning Commission. Have a great night.
Thank you,
Thank
Greg.
Thank
Good night.
Night.
Okay. Next on our review, looks like we have the Minor Street Annexation and Land Development Plan, and I'll turn this over to Jerome actually, this is the first time we're seeing this, right?
Yes, this is the first time.
Yeah, so for a overview of this plan.
Yeah, this isn't the easiest plan to follow, so bear with me. This letter, my review letter is dated May 21st, 2022. This is for a preliminary / final plan. It's an application review. It's an annexation and partial land development plan. I want to caution you, most of the improvements have already been completed previously. So and Dan will be able to weigh in later. So we took that under consideration. You can see. Can we put these pictures up? We're gonna put the pictures up, might help you out a little bit better. Because you can see the improvements from the aerials. Or you can just look at them now if you have them. It's okay. I think most of the planning commission members have my review letter, which have the pictures. So at one time, when the business took this, was taken over for this use, which we need to identify, it was a point of ingress was installed at a location to the one side of the building, and then it was provided 6 off-street parking spaces and a handicap space, and exited out onto Bell Alley. Those improvements appear to have already been placed and put in. So therefore, when we looked at stormwater management, there was nothing really to look at since the improvements were already completed. The area is tight, but we did take that all into consideration as part of the review. The site is located within the R3 zoning district. The existing building and the use are considered non-conforming because of either setbacks, coverage, or the occupancy of the building. Dan, are you on the line?
Yes,
Okay. Dan, who
you hear me?
occupies? Yeah, who occupies this site now?
it is a taxi cab, and they do their dispatching from it. I believe they have some minor repairs that they do in the garages in the back.
So yeah, the information that was available, it still holds true. It's not being conveyed from one party to another for another use. It's the same use.
It's been that use. If you want a little history of it, you go back through, this thing goes back to the Schuylkill Canal and the Reading Railroad. It was called a stable, so I would imagine there was draft horses and wagons and stuff that came out of this building. On the northern part of that, there were 2 dwellings at one time, and they were taken down prior to these people owning it, and that driveway ramp has been there probably for 20 years.
Actually, the site was also previously owned and occupied by Dolan Construction back in the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's been a non-conforming use for some time. I was just curious if the taxi cab business was still occupying the site and it was being used for that purpose.
Yes, they are. It's their dispatch. Their office is entrance is down there by the other alley that goes in off of Minor Street.
Okay. So I had asked for clarification on that type of use. Dan, why are 7 space? I think you had mentioned in your review or your information that there's 3 employees. Is that correct?
Yes,
This number of parking spaces that are located on the site, is that for the fleet or?
I think they do some repairs there, so they bring them in and repair them, and then they send them out.
It's
They
only
do
for
minor-
it's only for the repair of the taxi cabs?
Right.
Yeah, we'll need to have notes on the plan to clarify that.
Okay.
Going through the balance of the review letter, Dimmerling did have some comments. Although these might be overkill, they thought they should be on the site, on the plan, and also on the site itself. And those were for basically signage. I mean, they're really no brainers, but it is going to be one-way travel within a certain direction. The picture that you see here is the fenced out area is improved now. You can see that from the other areas.
You enter in off of Minor Street, go around the building, and then down through Bell Alley.
Yeah, the access will work.
I can get down through there with my F-250 with a stretch cab.
I used to get down there with a dump truck.
Yeah.
I worked for Dolan Construction when I was in college.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I have no doubt that the alley can work for one-way travel out as well.
I think the biggest problem that they mentioned during their zoning hearing in making that one way, with the zoning hearing board desired them to do, was that there's some problems that people park in the alley and block the alley. And so, but that's what they said is a policing issue. So
That could
hopefully
happen.
so hopefully that doesn't become a problem. And that's why I kept the parking spaces in square to the fence in case the alley is blocked, that people have a chance to be able to get out and go the other way. But the goal is to have them come in off of Minor Street and go out through Bell Alley to the, I guess, Willow Street down there.
There'll be no change in sewer flows, I assume?
No, they've been operating there, and I believe when it went through zoning the first time, there was a potential for an apartment upstairs, and they nixed that. So that's just storage. So there's no increased flows. They have water and sewer there now.
Curbs and sidewalks in the front along Minor Street, they're in fair condition. We had asked Public Works to evaluate those to make sure that they did not need to be replaced at this time. Tim, do you have anything on those?
Yeah, I would suggest, Dan, that you do the same thing that Greg did and have Chris Lovell go out and look at it. He's best equipped for that. Just from the photos, from what I looked at it, it doesn't, I would agree. They look like they're in fair condition. My question would be though, I see that the whole front of the building is posted as a loading zone. Is it the intent of the owner? Is that the owner's loading zone, or is that a leftover from Dolan? Or do you need a loading zone across the front of the building?
I'm not sure.
Tim, the loading zone was never used in that location. I think that's when, as Dan had mentioned about the horse and buggy days. So it might have gone back to that part, but
Oh my.
that location was never used. I think it's even.
Well, I think
I don't even think it has access.
if we removed that loading zone, we could free up at least a couple of spaces for the neighborhood. You've got the, is that a garage I'm looking at on the north end?
Yes.
That is, yeah, and of course you've got the driveway, I see. So you've got the garage and the driveway next to each other, but then from there on, you might have 2 or 3 spaces where the loading zone is. We'd like to free that up.
Dan, can you check on that?
I'll have to check and see if they need that.
All right, appreciate it.
That was one of the concerns of the residents of Minor Street, was that parking is at a premium there.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
and that somebody coming in and hogging spaces didn't go over real well.
Yeah, let us know. We'll we can paint the other curb radius to the garage yellow, to indicate no parking, because you're not supposed to park in front of any kind of driveway entrance. But from there on, we can remove the loading zone then, if that's the intent of the owner.
I will see. I know when I've stopped there a couple of times, you can park right in front of their door and load and unload there, but they certainly don't need it the whole length of the building.
Right.
One other comment was fire and rescue, just to make sure that they're acceptable to this project. I do not think that they're going to be able to maneuver their vehicles through this parking lot that they have, but they certainly can use Bell Alley as well as Minor Street, and then there's Little Willow Street. It seems like it's accessible for fire and rescue along all points. I have nothing further on this. It will also be an annexation of 3 parcels. That's one of the primary reasons or objectives of the project as well, is so it's all one.
Mostly the annexation. That makes a lot of
all these things.
Did Dan, did you apply to the Berks County Planning Commission?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
So that should be pending.
No, okay. Just so you know, as far as we know, we did not receive a review, so we cannot take action on this plan at this time.
That's about right, because they're usually a little bit behind, and probably after this meeting, we'll hear something back from them.
Yeah, so, yeah, just wanted to let you know, Dan. Are there any comments from the commissioners?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. This is Will.
Go ahead, Will.
In the meantime, if our staff would please confirm one way or the other whether that what's listed on the plan as a 10-foot alley south of the parcel, if that is actually a street. I see on maps it says Little Willow Street. Is that a public street or a private alley or what? I always ask on these things, so we have that clarified for when it comes before us for final approval, please.
The deeds call for it going along an alley there, so I didn't get a name of it. But if it's Little Willow Street, then that might be the right name for it. But it's a public alley as far as I can tell.
Yeah, yeah, Dan,
it's concrete.
when you check the curbs and sidewalks with Chris Lovell, check the alleys with Chris. He has the official map. And some of our alleys are labeled as streets. I don't know why, but that's the way they are. I would tend to agree. I probably guess it is an alley, but he can confirm that.
How do I get a hold of Chris?
You send me an email. I'll relay it over to you. So you have his phone number.
Okay. Now, one of the issues this property has is that area, I guess, to the north of the brick building, they went ahead and paved it all, and the zoning got in an uproar with that. So what we did is we're cutting some of that macadam out of there and making a landscaping bed and trying to do a little bit of stormwater reduction in that area. But that's the only thing that we can. The neighbor, their whole roof runs over onto these people's property. So, and which probably creates a problem, and that could be resolved with some spouting and stuff, but it's a very tight, small piece of property to try to do anything.
Dan, one thing I left off the review was, can a vehicle get in and out of space one?
I'll have to check it. Space one, is that down by the gate?
Yeah, space one is on the, it's on the corner.
Would be the first space you would get to if you enter off of Minor Street.
Oh, well, you should be able to drive in there and be able to back out of it.
Okay, check with your client.
Yeah.
Dan, was that area paved in the past, or was it lawn?
In the back of the building.
Yeah, where it was paved, where the zoning.
Well,
zoning
it was
commenting about
gravel, and you know, it's like Jerome is saying that Dolan Construction had that, and they
Right.
were driving in and out of there, because I'm
And they were-
sure Dolan built that driveway.
Right, so they were-
but it wasn't particularly paved.
Well, even if it was gravel, we consider that paved. Is that what you remember, Jerome?
That
Yeah, that was gravel.
Yeah. So that was probably before 2008, would you say? I don't, how far back are you going?
We'll go back to 1985.
Okay, yeah, I know Dolan's been around.
Looking at the wearing on that concrete, on that driveway ramp, I agree with it. That looks like driveway ramps I built back in the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah, if that has been used as paving, whether it was asphalt or brick or whatever, if it was used as paving and you went in there and you paved it, that we've always considered as maintenance and not new impervious. It's always been impervious because you've used it for commercial use here in this case with trucks and whatnot. So, if you could put some landscaping in there, that'd be wonderful.
Well, that's what I did. If you
But
look at my
otherwise,
landscape-
it would not apply to the stormwater management ordinance here.
Okay.
But we'll take the green space.
I struggled trying to get some kind of stormwater credits on there.
Yeah.
Good.
And to try to convey that roof water back out to the street, so it's not
Yes.
impacting on the rear of their building.
Very good.
So we'll make these minor changes. If I have any questions, I'll get a hold of Jerome.
Any other comments from commissioners? Okay, hearing none. As I mentioned, we do need to table this plan. But we'll be able to see this again and clear up these last few items before then. So do I hear a motion to table?
So
Yes.
move.
Peter, and then Nelson for a second. Okay. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. Item moving forward here. Okay, next on our list, we have the Sixth and Spring Parking Facility preliminary final land development plan at 601 North 6th Street. Those of us who have been here a while may remember that we approved the subdivision of this back in 2017. And the subdivision plan was recorded on June 5th, 2017. I pulled those things up so that Jerome had a little bit of background about this. So I'll turn it over to Jerome.
Okay, this plan was reviewed on May 22nd, 2022. This is a preliminary / final land development plan. It is a 23,085 square foot property that is currently a vacant lot. The applicant intends to develop the site with a surface parking area in order to accommodate the existing commercial and residential uses located on the, let's call it the, which corner?
That is the
Catty corner.
south. Yeah, that would be the southwest corner
Yes.
of 6th and Spring.
Plan consists of 2 plan sheets. The site is located within the manufacturing commercial zoning district. The proposed surface parking area and use was permitted as a principal use. As I had mentioned, it is to specifically address or a need for parking within the area, not for a new use, but for an existing use. There are 28 off-street parking spaces located within this facility. We had issued a variety of site accessibility concerns. The biggest being that the existing concrete aprons will not be utilized along North 6th Street and Spring Street, should be removed, modified, and or replaced with curb, and that may require a HOP from PennDOT. It's probably the biggest one as far as site accessibility. The other comments are generally minor with respects to site accessibility. We had asked that the fire and rescue department also review this plan. We provided a variety of stormwater management concerns that will need to be addressed, most of which I believe can be resolved. The curb, sidewalk, and ramps along this area need also to be discussed with Tim's office. They are in fair to good condition. And I guess the same thing, Tim, would be an appointment would need to be scheduled with Chris.
Yeah, that's what I would recommend. And that's what we did the last time. And I guess it was 2017. Wow, time flies. Same thing. And there were existing driveway aprons that are no longer being used that we stated that needed to be converted back to city standard with curb and sidewalk, normal curb and sidewalk. And I think there's 3 or 4 of them out there, both on Spring and on North 6th Street. So Dan, I don't know if you had included that or not in your design. I see you have an entrance on the north side.
This plan was submitted one prior, Greg Dimovitz had done it.
That's correct.
And they did no infiltration. They had a big basin hogged out down next to Spring Street and that alley that comes out from the other parcel. And I think the city pretty well rejected what they were doing. So I had gotten the plan from Greg and I looked at it, and I had Penn's Trail come out and we did testing to see if we can do some infiltration and see what was actually under this site. And where I put the infiltration bed, we actually found some nice soil, and it was a little shallower than I wanted to get the volume. So that's why I went in conjunction with draining the underground detention, and anything that flows out of that would then flow into the rain garden. And my goal was to more or less have a net, actually no discharge to Spring Street, because that Spring Street underpass has always been a problem. So my whole goal in my stormwater design was to minimize or eliminate any kind of the natural drainage off of this site to the Spring Street underpass. So, and I think the couple comments with the stormwater that we can achieve that.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty fair assessment of Greg Dimovitz's plan. If I recall, the other problem was the discharge. He had a pipe that was just discharging right onto the sidewalk, and I think even partly into the private property adjoining that, which would be an accelerated concentration of runoff, which we didn't want. We wanted some other means of safely discharging that flow, and I don't think we ever saw that. I'm not exactly sure how that, or if it was ever resolved, but it looks like this plan's got it resolved.
Yeah, I took that plan and tried to improve on it, and a lot of it is a lot of the same. I think there's an entrance on 6th Street that needs to be removed. The original plan was just to use the one that was most northern, and
Right.
and then there's at least one entrance or two entrances on Spring that need to be removed.
Yes. There's a retaining wall there too. What'll be the fate of the retaining wall?
Well, I have a bigger retaining wall to level that site out to get the infiltration in and flow the water back into the center. So I probably improving that retaining wall.
Is that shown on your drawing?
Yeah.
Do you have a detail of that?
I can probably get a detail of it.
Okay, yeah. That's-
I didn't submit to the conservation district yet because I wanted, the last one was rejected, and I wanted to have, before you go out and I needed to have some kind of warm fuzzies from the city that this is something that they're looking positive at.
The site is now being used for parking. So might as well improve it as a parking.
It has been I've lived one block from here for 29 years. It's always been used for parking. Because there was a restaurant there called the Guardhouse,
Yeah.
and the Guardhouse always used that for parking, even though they didn't own it. It was still owned by the railroad at the time.
So if they're moving in the right direction, we do not have a county review either. So on this
Yeah.
project, so this will give, there is going to be outside agency reviews, HOP, earth disturbance activity through the conservation district, Berks County Planning Commission review. So we may as well table this unless you need any action on the plan.
And just to let you know, Dan, from what I remember of our discussions back in 2017, your plan, your stormwater management plan looks a lot better than the previous one.
Thank you, because I wasn't real happy with what they had before, and
Well, the owner wasn't pleased with it either.
yeah.
And Dan, this is Tim, just to let you know, the PennDOT is planning on doing some pretty major improvements on Spring Street with the traffic signals, the curb ramps at the corners of Sixth and Spring, also down there at Railroad too, all of them actually, throughout the whole state highway there. And so they'll be putting in the curb ramps. They won't be doing any additional work on the sidewalk other than what they need to do to get the curb ramps in. And if you'd like
Okay.
to see, the drawings, I can share those with you. Just shoot me the
Yeah.
request and I'll try to dig them up and send them over to you.
Well, then would they do the curb for closing up those drive ramps on Spring Street or not?
Probably not. Only if it's in somehow impacts the curb ramp at the corner of Sixth and Spring.
Well, that goes into, let me put my glasses on here. Comment number 5, they're talking about handicap ramps and a lot of that, this information, then I don't have to worry about the handicap ramp.
Jerome, is that what the comment was, number 5? I don't have that.
IV.
Number 5, it says the proposed parking lot will be utilized for a restaurant and apartments on the southwest corner. Adequate pedestrian accommodation should be provided as ADA curb ramp upgrades.
All all 4 quadrants of the Sixth and Spring intersection will be upgraded by PennDOT to meet, PennDOT ADA standards. So
Okay.
Yeah, well, I wasn't aware of that, Dan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Go ahead.
think PennDOT will take care of 6D for you also. Which is
Okay.
provide new 6-inch white pedestrian crosswalk markings across North Sixth Street.
Okay.
When PennDOT did Fifth and Spring out in front of my house, they did all that.
yes, they will do that. That will be the second contract. The first contract will come through to do the intersections with the signals and the curb ramps, and then they'll come through with an M89 project to mill and overlay Spring Street. And hopefully that'll happen in succession. And then after they mill and overlay, then they'll do the, the crosswalk painting.
Well, the next comment in that 6.5E is pedestrian signal indicators. That would encompass changing the whole darn traffic signal there. You're looking at a lot of money in that, I would imagine. Do we need to, if we're putting ADA ramps in there and crosswalks, it's already a signalized intersection.
Yeah, again, if the push button, if that's what the comment refers to, push buttons for ADA activation, if that's required, not all of them require that, but if they do to change the signal timing for pedestrians, that would be included in the PennDOT signal
Oh.
improvement plan. And again,
Okay.
that'll be on the drawing. I can send that to you
Yeah.
and to
Well,
Jim
that
too.
because that stuff there sounds like it would be a job killer. But if PennDOT's doing it, that sounds great. We can certainly work with that.
They'll be doing all of that.
Tim, do we want to put something in an improvements agreement, maybe not requiring them to escrow the costs, but that they'll be required for any improvements should PennDOT not complete their project?
I suppose, yes, we could do that.
What was that? I didn't quite hear that.
That if we would require you to escrow the money for what is proposed to be covered by the PennDOT improvements, but for some reason, if PennDOT does not complete those improvements, you would be responsible, possibly not for the traffic signal, we could talk about that, but for the other ones. That way, if PennDOT falls through, we know they're getting done, or we can come back to have you do them.
I would agree with you, Michelle. I would say this for the benefit of the owner. I believe the let date or the award date on this project is coming up within the next month or two.
Okay,
They've been working very hard to get this thing going. It should have happened by now, but with COVID and cutbacks and money and problems and stuff, they keep pushing this one back. So we're due for this one. I would say if it happens in the next month or two while this plan is being worked on and approved, if by that time there is a let date, I would say that's pretty much 100% assured that they're going to do it. At that point, I'd probably recommend they would need it.
Yeah, it may be a non-issue, but just to ensure PennDOT's
Yes.
following through.
Right, right. For now, I would agree with that, yes.
Yeah, it occurred to me over the weekend, Dan, that the Spring Street improvement project was coming up because they're finishing the River Road extension that's coming along, and I knew that the Spring Street upgrade would come right after that. So
Okay.
I figured if you knew a little bit more about it, that would put the owner of this property a little more at ease. That some of these things will be actually taken care of for him.
Yeah.
Any other comments from staff? Any comments from the commissioners?
Yeah, this is Will, Mr. Chairman. I couldn't remember how many years ago it was, but we reviewed this last. I'm glad you mentioned it was 2017. And just to clarify, at that time, what we did do was we approved the subdivision from the Norfolk Southern parcel. And we did that because the purpose was what the applicant, the owner wanted was to develop this as a parking lot, even though, of course, that's like you said, as far back as I remember, which is even further back, was that it's always been used as a parking lot. I think it might have been a car dealership at one point or something like that, but it's always been occupied. But he wanted to improve it as a parking lot to serve the former guardhouse restaurant, which has served as other kinds of restaurants since then, and I think has been vacant since. And like you said, the stormwater was really challenging because of the difficult topography of this site. So it's good that there's a plan now that can address that satisfactorily. And just last month, of course, we just approved 2 projects across the street from this site. And I'm glad to hear now that there's a PennDOT plan for upgrading this street and everything, which I think this area needs that. And I'm going to take this opportunity to nudge the city to address that retaining wall along, whichever side it is. I think if the south side is the cities. I'm not sure if the north side is Norfolk Southern's or part of that's the cities or what, coming from the subway west that we've talked about before with all this, the flooding that area is prone to. So I'm pleased to see that this project can get put on the table after, of course, we'll have to table it tonight, that we can move forward on everything. I think the whole area will have a lift from everything.
Right. Any other comments? Okay. With that, do I hear a motion to table this until we receive the Berks County Planning Commission comments?
I'll move to table it until we receive the Berks County Planning Commission comments.
Okay, thank you. Will, second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Nelson.
You're welcome.
Question on the motion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. We move this one ahead now, finally, after all these years. Next on our list is the Fairview Annexation and Land Development Plan.
Yes, this review is dated May 22nd, 2022. This was an older plan that we had that had different variations. And I want to clarify what the current proposal is. It's an annexation involving 4 parcels, not 5. It's 4 parcels. The one parcel is occupied by a residential use and will remain as a residential use. All the other parcels will then be remaining parcels, the other 4 would be joined in common deed. That's what we've described in our review as phase 1. The lower section of this property, which has access onto South 13th Street, is being modified slightly as a result of the demolition work that was done to some outbuildings on the site. So the reconfiguration of the parking will be done. This area is all impervious now, so it's being restriped, and that's shown on the plan with site access. The upper section, which is has access onto South 14th Street, which was previously attempted to be utilized for parking, as well as modifications to the curb line and driveway line. That will not be pursued at this time. That would be classified as phase 2. The applicant would still be permitted to park the buses in that location as they did in the past. We've discussed that also with the fire marshal, and he said that that's acceptable as long as the drivers remain in the vehicle, not abandon the vehicle on site. So as long as that happens, they'll be fine. So the project is quite simplified from what we reviewed, because we thought that other portions were going to be included, including retaining walls and things like that. They're not going to be included as part of this phase. As you can see on the plan view now, you can see the number of parking spaces, which would help this existing school with parking. Now it's providing more spaces, and the ability to get in and out of those parking areas is enhanced to the point where it's not a maze to get in and out. Having said all that, the applicant, I believe, is on the line.
Hello.
Anyone there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Is all that information correct? Introduce yourself to the record.
Yeah, my name is Ryan Huber. I'm representing Fairview Christian School. And yeah, I believe you represented it correctly there. The demo permit was approved already to take those buildings down by both zoning and building and trade. So the buildings are down and we're ready to move forward, but only tackling that lower lot there off of South 13th Street.
So we had asked for notes to be placed on the plan. If the second phase does evolve, they're gonna have to come back to us for approvals. But having discussion with the applicant, it's highly unlikely.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the last time this came before us, we were talking about that intersection there with Muhlenberg and I think that's 14th.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we're just gonna focus on the lower section. This plan is then ready for approval. We have to just make some adjustments with some notes, which are identified in this letter dated May 22nd.
Okay. And did we receive the planning, First County?
Yeah, long time.
Oh, great. Great. And my note here is erroneous. Very good. Is there any other comments from staff?
No agreements, I presume.
No agreements.
Do you have anything, Tim?
Yeah, the only comment I had is, did we adequately address the parking situation there at the northeast corner up at Muhlenberg Street? And,
They're not pursuing that at all.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Okay,
They're abandoning that
yeah.
phase of the project.
Oh, okay, because it looks like there is potential there for parking. So, okay, and I have no other comments.
Any comments from the commissioners?
So which of the 4 are they in the annexation?
Ryan, are you still there?
Yeah, so
Which
it
one?
is the lot against 13th Street, backing up to what is our gymnasium, an existing parking lot in the back. So that is 2 lots. and then combining the corner there on the northeast of 14th and Muhlenberg. There's 2 lots there, which is an empty lot now, combining those 2. It originally had included the first residence there, 1352 Muhlenberg, but that was incorrect. That's not a part of the operation of the school. So it's a total of 4 lots being combined to the school, which is known as 410 South 14th Street.
It's the parcel that's located closest to the intersection of 14th and Muhlenberg. Is that correct?
Correct.
It's the rectangular parcel that's
A is being included, B is not.
And also that little square parcel behind it. That's a tiny little square parcel that's being included as well.
and that'd be B
That's C.
from Muhlenberg.
That one is actually 406 South 14th Street
Okay.
is the address on that one.
So which one's getting taken off, A or B?
B is the first house.
It's the first residence that's being taken off. I don't see where it says A or B, but
I think it's A.
A is the lot. B is the first house.
1352 Muhlenberg Street. Is that one that contains the,
Maybe I'm wrong.
I think 52 is the house. That's the one that's being removed. 54 is the lot on the corner, which would be B on your review.
B.
Yeah, so A is the one being removed.
Okay, now it makes sense to me. Now I'm looking at it correctly.
I had it confused.
Well, Google put the address, the 1354, put it behind 1352, next to it.
Yeah. All right, any other comments from the commissioners? And so with that, hearing none, do I hear a motion to conditionally approve the preliminary final plan application for phase 1 of the Fairview Annexation and Land Development Plan at that will combine 1354 Muhlenberg Street, 406 South 14th Street, 410 South 14th Street, and 421 South 13th Street. Provided that all comments on the Hawk Valley Associates review dated May 22nd, 2022 are solved to the satisfaction of staff.
Lee Olson will make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Lee. In a second,
Bob Conklin?
Bob seconds. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Very good. Now we can move this one forward. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your looking at it. Appreciate it.
Good. All right, next on our list is the Schuman Development Group plan for 35 North 6th Street. This is a revised plan of record for the building at 6th and Washington, which used to be the headquarters for Meridian Bank. And I'll turn it over to Jerome.
Great. This review was done on May 23rd, 2022. The address of the property is 35 North 6th Street, and it involves it's either a 5 or a 6-story building. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe the applicant can provide us some clarification later. This plan was approved by special exception for a adaptive reuse project. The site was formerly occupied as a bank/office building. It will now be utilized, and I'll let the applicant weigh in later. But according to the zoning hearing board application, it will be utilized as a commercial retail use or food court on floors 1 and 2, and residential apartments on floors 3 through 6. And if there is a 6th floor, it wasn't identified. We had asked for information regarding the architectural renderings, elevations, or floor plans for this site, as we customarily requested for adaptive reuse projects. And this is just to make sure that we are in compliance with the habitable space for residential apartments, as well as site accessibility into the building itself. Other issues that were brought into the review were that it is in the Callowell Historic District, so the Harbor will have to review this plan to make sure that they are in agreement. They may have done that as part of the special exception application, but they would need to do that as part of the land development plan application as well. Zoning hearing board's decision will need to be identified, and I think that's on the plan now. They did weigh in with some specific criteria with regards to site accessibility and parking, which the applicant appears to comply with. The one confusing part was the off-street parking spaces that are on the site. We had accounted for 20 on-site spaces. I think the applicant may have identified a different number, but we'll go through that a little bit later. They have the ability to obtain off-street parking through other public parking areas within 400 feet from the property. And a loading space has been provided. Going to the curbs and sidewalks section and handicap ramps, these sidewalks appear to be in good condition. Public Works will still need to go through the site just to verify. Other comments that have been provided on this plan, a significant one we feel is, and this happens on all these adaptive reuse projects, is the sanitary sewer flows tend to be much higher than the previous use. The previous use, again, was a commercial office building. It is now going to be used as a residential apartment. Residential apartment values are much higher than office spaces. So that would need to be coordinated with Public Works to verify if a planning module needs to be filed. And going through that process, the municipal water supply services would also need to be checked. The fire and rescue department had, in other projects similar to this, has reviewed them just to make sure that the fire hydrants, standpipes, and related emergency response facilities are in adequate position for this neighborhood. We asked for a variety of notes. We did not see that a stormwater management plan would be required. We just provided the comments on site accessibility, which already exists. So therefore, we didn't have to provide much comments on that. All in all, the plan looks like it's in good shape. It's a good project for adaptive reuse and revitalization within the city of Reading. Just need to address those issues. I believe, is the applicant online?
I am.
Okay. This is very similar to the Berkshire building, which is right across the street.
Alan, do you know if there was submission made to the Berks County Planning Commission?
There was.
Did we receive those comments? I know. Okay. Any other comments from staff?
This is Tim, just in echoing what Jerome was saying about the planning modules. Alan, do you have a projection of what your proposed sewer flows? I also heard food court, which sounds like restaurant. So it's sounds like the potential of increased flows over the previous use.
It depends on what you consider the previous use, since the building was vacant for a decade and mostly vacant for the past 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
As far as projected flows from having 400 business tenants in there and what was approved at that time as to actual flows that we can get from our other projects in the city, we're talking about total incoming water and outgoing sewer of roughly 5,000 to 6,000 gallons per day. That's what we get for this size project. We know down to within a few gallons per day of what each residential unit uses. We use all the same fixtures. We use all the same everything. We've actually downsized the water line running into the building from a 4-inch line to an 1.5-inch line at this property and at our other property specifically because of that. So even though it was approved for a much higher flow in the past, the actual flow was much less, and we're going to be much more in line with the actual flow.
When you say approved, was there actually written approval from the DEP on sewer modules?
Nothing new, just, and I don't know back in the 60s what was approved or.
They didn't have, yeah, it didn't start until the 70s. So yeah, there were no sewer modules until the 70s.
And they did a major expansion on the building in 1984 and did infilling and adding bathrooms and things at that time. So maybe there was, but I don't know.
Well, that would be good to know. Yeah, that would fall in the range of the DEP's Act 537 plan. We would have had an Act 537 plan. And if planning was done for so much sewer reservation at that time, well, that would count. So we'll have to do some research on that to see. Our records aren't always the best, but we could take a look and see. So you think that might have been around 1980, early 80s?
1884.
84?
Correct.
Okay. Otherwise, if we can't find it, sometimes what we do is we look back 10 years ago around the 2011 era when the last update to our Act 537 plan was done. But if it was vacant and not being used, you'd have zero flows. You would have more than one EDU.
It's been vacant since about 2009 or 10.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have any flows. So if we can't find anything from that 1984, I'm guessing then probably likely that we would need to do planning for sewer reservation for those flows you were mentioning.
And I think Ludgate Engineering has already submitted a planning module or a sewer module.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure about that, but they had talked about it a few months ago and we discussed moving forward with that.
All right, fine. Yeah, then if he would, he knows the drill. He's been through it. So if he wants to send that to me and to Deb Hogue, and with the fees, we'll get it cranking.
Great.
That seems to be your biggest obstacle, Alice.
Okay. I do want to comment also that it is not in the Callow Hill Historic District.
It isn't?
It is not. However, it is, we had it listed on the National Register of Historic Buildings, so we have federal oversight on the exterior of the building, but no city oversight.
Okay. Yeah, that comment was previously provided to the zoning hearing board. They brought it up too, didn't they?
They did not, because it's not in the historic
It's not in
district.
there?
They
All right.
brought up a comment of if it was, and I clarified that it is not.
Okay.
But that we would be doing a certified historic restoration on it with National Park Service oversight.
Okay.
So, and then there was also a comment on the parking. So we've got the Abraham Lincoln parking garage. It's right down the street on at 5th and Washington. We have 310 parking spaces in there. All residential parking will be in that garage. So there was a comment on the review here that the numbers didn't add up. That's because we're not considering any of the on-site parking available for the residential use. Residential tenants will be parking down the street. The on-site parking is going to be just customer parking for those stopping at the building to either visit the residences or visit the businesses.
I think you had, on the plan itself, I believe it said 28 parking spaces are provided on site. There's 20.
Okay,
Yeah, and the zoning hearing, that, to be consistent with the zoning hearing board decision, they had identified, I believe, is your agreement with the Abe Lincoln?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you now own that parking facility, is that right, Alan?
That's correct.
And how many spaces there are taken by the Abe Lincoln itself?
So 100 and, let me think, roughly 110 spaces are taken by the Abraham Lincoln residential residents. So
that leaves you more than enough for the 135 you need. I forget how many are in that
yeah,
lot.
that's still, we have 310 parking spaces in the lot. And then we also have the 90-car parking lot right behind that garage. And then the 60-car parking lot right next to that, which we provide space to Alvernia for. So we really have plenty of parking.
And just out of curiosity, the building, I forget what it's called, where the M&T branch is that you own.
Yes.
All the parking for the people who work there, is that in the basement there?
That building is one of the only buildings in the downtown that has an underground parking garage for employees. So almost all of the employees park under there. I think we might use maybe 20 spaces next door in the Abraham Lincoln garage. And then the surface parking lot behind that building is just for customers.
Okay, very good. I was there the other day and I was just wondering about it.
And I did not include that count in with the 310 for the garage or the 90 behind that or the 60 behind that. So altogether, I think we've got somewhere over close to 650 parking spaces available in that immediate area.
Okay. Any other comments from staff?
Jerome, was there a comment about stormwater? Did you see stormwater on this project?
Yeah, we just briefly looked at it and said that it would not be required since they are not proposing any exterior improvements that we could see.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, very good. Thank you.
The only exterior improvements we've done on this building, where you can see on the plan that's up here on the screen, shows the individual tree bed planters along Washington Street. We've actually cut the sidewalk to combine all of those into planting areas, similar to what we did at the M&T Bank building down at Fifth and Washington, Fifth and Washington.
Yeah, and my comment there would be you want to do that, with the Shade Tree Commission's blessing, the city arborist. Just be sure he's okay with any changes to shade trees in the right of way.
So our landscaper is working with him. We're trying to get some good solid shade trees there to protect the building. We've had it hit by cars coming down over that ramp.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that.
Right. Any comments from the commissioners?
This is Will, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I appreciate this plan a lot. I did not think it was in the Callow Hill Historic District, but I'm glad that it was put up by the applicant on the Federal Historic Register, because I believe this is the most beautiful specimen of neoclassical style in downtown Reading. The original part of the building, the southern part of it. The northern modern addition, I don't know when that was put in. That has attractive cladding that looks like white marble. I don't know if it is, but it looks nice. And this is on the inside, from what I recall, because it of course had been a bank. The first floor is like a 2-story high with an ornate, I think it's a coffered plaster ceiling, beautiful. And this was built at the time when banks were made to look grandiose and ornate in order to give confidence to the customers that, you know, that they had the financial wherewithal to back up their money, you see. And it's in a premier location next to the courthouse in our core commercial district. But just a few years ago, it was reported that this building, you know, before it was acquired by the applicant, was in danger of being demolished. And so I'm really pleased of great concerns. I'm very pleased that the developer is proposing a reuse of the structure that really fits the downtown and what's needed down there. With all the people that are there for lunchtime to have a food court, and of course residences, we promote as part of our comprehensive plan draft to promote mixed use. So I think this really fits, and so I'm pleased to see it go forward. It's really a gem that we don't want to lose, and now to see it being turned into something is great to see. And my only comment is I was trying to follow along with the parking spaces in that. I know we're counting some of those also potentially for the medical arts. So if that could all be laid out next time as to how many spaces are available for which, I know there's the Corbett building available too, right? So besides the M&T lot, so I can't see what's on the screen and what's being pointed to. So as long as we're not double counting everything as to what is available, I'm sure it's an adequate amount of parking. So we just get clarification on that. But I'm very appreciative to see this project. Thank you.
If I can make a comment, as Emily with the zoning office, we have implemented a new sort of tracking system, for lack of a better term, for these parking agreements, these offsite parking agreements. So we will be reviewing that. If any project is saying that we will be getting offsite parking at this location, we will be requesting a site plan and also just the basic information of the site, just to make sure that those parking spaces aren't being double sold. That was a concern of the zoning hearing board. So it is going to be now a form that the owner will be filling out to give to whoever they're leasing it to, and providing us that information. That way we can better track it. So we will be reviewing those just to make sure that all of the uses using that parking lot do have the adequate parking.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your comments on saving the building. I agree with those. I want to point out that I did not mention the parking available for the medical arts building because that's a separate project. So the lots at the Corbett building, the interior garage, and the 62 car parking lot next to that are for that project. I didn't even mention them in the listing here. And then finally, I wanted to comment on, there was a comment earlier regarding they weren't sure whether it was a 5-story or 6-story building. It really depends on what code you're looking at. There are 6 floors, but one of them is a mezzanine.
Okay.
Just like the Berkshire.
Yeah, that's like the Berkshire building. We had the same. Yeah, so you're counting floors 1 and 2 as including the mezzanine, and then there's the floors above it would then be the residential. Is that correct?
So we have a first floor, a mezzanine, a second floor also of offices, and then floors 3, 4, and 5 are all residential.
Okay, got it.
How many residential units are we talking? 30.
39. And the second floor, which is the biggest floor in the building, that's occupied by Visions Federal Credit Union's new Eastern Pennsylvania Operations Center. The mezzanine is fully occupied by former Berkshire Building tenants, primarily Mid-Payne Legal and the Justice Cause.
That's good to hear. I was wondering where the tenants from the Berkshire building were moving to.
Yeah, we helped a few of them out.
Yeah, great. Any other comments from the commissioners? Okay, hearing none. Since we did not receive comments from Berks County Planning Commission yet, we will have to table this. So do I hear a motion to table?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Nelson?
why does it need to be tabled?
We do not have comments from the Berks County Planning Commission.
Or is that required or?
It's a municipal planning code requirement.
Okay.
I do have a letter from the planning commission, if you'd like me to read a paragraph of it here, stating that they will review this, but they did not feel that it was necessary to review it.
Mr. Schuman, this is Emily. If you can just forward that to me, that way we have it. If you do it right now, I could probably pull it up.
Oh, give me a minute to go scan it and send it over to you.
Okay, great.
What's that dated?
It is dated March 7th.
March 7th, was this a letter that was issued regarding other applications for adaptive reuse and we've had subsequent conversations with the county and yeah, I'm familiar with the letter.
Okay.
We've addressed this issue with the county and they will be reviewing the plans.
Okay. Very good. Then with that, do I hear a motion to table? It's here. I'll make that motion. Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Will. Okay. Question on the motion?
So as a newcomer here, I'm still not clear of the role we have in the city. I talked to Jeremy. And Nasius as courtesy advisory thing.
County review?
Yeah.
County review is Michelle can probably do a better job than me, so.
So I'm just looking for understanding.
Under the municipalities planning code, which is the umbrella that establishes the review process for land development, annexation, subdivision plans
Mhm.
in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, there's a provision that requires plans to be sent to the county commission, planning commission for review. Once you get those comments, you can do with as you wish, but they have 30 days from date of submission to review them. Your local jurisdictions cannot take action on a plan until either you get a review or those 30 days have expired.
That's clear.
Yes, and I can,
That's fine.
Now, what we're doing, the next thing on the agenda, the very next thing, is we're doing an amendment to make this, to clarify the requirement.
not the county review process,
Yeah,
our
but-
review process.
Yes, for our review process, so it works in collaboration with the NPC requirements.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's in here somewhere.
And that's what Alan was referring to as the March letter, was the county questioning our actions, and the amendment that we're proposing now is clarifying.
Okay. Very good. Okay, and with that, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much. I'm sure there's only a little bit to get resolved here with the planning modules, and then we can give, once we receive that, at least that submission, we can probably give conditional approval as soon as we receive the information for the planning modules. Okay, and since Alan's here, I wanted to go over 13I on the
Sure.
agenda for the medical arts building.
13I and J is the medical arts building. As you recall from the last month's meeting, medical arts, and there'll be a medical arts annexation plan and a medical arts land development plan. Medical arts annexation plan can be approved by the planning commission. It was previously reviewed by the county as the annexation. So this is going to be the combining two existing lots, which are 226 and 230 North Fifth Street. We provided a review dated April 12th, 2022. We're missing some information and we just wanted to make sure we got clarified. So this plan is now in position to be approved. Also on the agenda is the 222, is the land development plan component. And we have a time extension that's going to be requested or granted to us. That's going to be good through August 31st. So two separate actions.
With that, do I hear a motion for conditional approval of the final annexation plan for the medical arts building, provided that the review letter of April 12th by Hawk Valley Associates is satisfied to comments are met to the satisfaction of staff?
The move.
I think this year we'd be going out of the order of our agenda. I don't have any problem with doing that, but
I'm just doing it because Alan's here and
yeah,
as a courtesy to Alan.
yeah, I have no objection if nobody else does to tinkering with our agenda to do that. Just so it's
Okay.
on the record that we're deviating from it and that there's no objection to doing that.
Okay, and do I hear a second to the motion? Second. Okay, Peter seconds. Question on the motion?
April 12th, 2022.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. Okay, that should help Alan along because he needs to get something done on this. So,
We take the second component of that while it's,
yeah,
which would be the land development plan and the time extension would be that Alan is granted through August 31st.
okay.
In this case. Okay.
Do I hear a motion to accept the time extension for review of the land development plan of the medical arts building until August 31st of 2022?
Yes.
Peter motions, the second,
I'll second.
little seconds. Question on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. We have taken care of that little piece of business, so that we don't have to hold up Alan while we deal with some other things.
And that was a clerical mistake on my behalf because we had this on the agenda last month and we were waiting for the county review, or we were waiting for some plans just to get through it to clarify it. So we're all.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
And that finishes our reviews of the land development and subdivision plans. And we move on to the saldo amendment for sections 515, 312B and 515, 312D. And I'll let Jerome talk a little bit about this, but we have seen these before.
We've gotten the county's review. The county had provided us like 5 or 6 comments, which I've attempted to address within the current draft, which is now dated May 18th, 2022. These are all just minor issues. Protocol or to be NPC compliant, typically you just want to make sure everything is acceptable. So I sent this back to the county for just to double check to make sure we're on board with what they had commented on. It's just a matter of courtesy as well as a matter of just being legally accepted. So we'll wait for their comments to come back. There's no rush. This is for clarifying what is required for a change of use, revised plan of record, and minor land development.
Yeah, because that was a long, ongoing thing between the county and community development and zoning, and I think everybody got a little bit in on that. So that is good. Here, is there an update to the zoning map revision? Was that accepted by council?
Approved.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I did submit this afternoon to our planning consultant some minor edits on the saldo, very minor grammatical punctuation type things. I think all in all, they're very good.
Okay, great, fantastic.
Thanks, Will. Going back to the zoning map revision, this is for the Albright College property, the MC to R3. It was approved by the council.
Next on we have the Planning Commission annual report.
Yes, Jamal and I will be attending a future council meeting to present it to them. We'll be getting on their agenda shortly.
Under old business, since it's very extensive, Jerome has just a minor comment.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to be submitting a report that will just attach to the agenda and saying this is the current update. This was nice to have when there was 2 or 3 projects on. We've now gotten 15 or 16. So it tends to be repetitive when we just repeat the same thing month after month, but I could be giving you a report. There are some items on here though that I need to address though, and try not to go out of order. The Berkshire building plan has been submitted to us for endorsement. If the plan is acceptable to be endorsed by the planning commission members. That's just saving us an email there. We did get correspondence for a few projects. And I've issued review letters, one with regards to 1010 Elm Street, which is the Elm Street Daycare, Hope Rescue Mission, Inglesia Pentecostal. Yeah, we have a time extension for Inglesia Pentecostal that we'll take next. Prince and Princesses, we got we issued a clarification review. That should be it. But I'll issue that report to you after this meeting with along with the meeting minutes.
Just very briefly, you had the conditional use application hearing?
Yes, the conditional use application was approved for the Saldano banquet facility with conditions. That was just issued.
And we did receive a draft of the
So I'll issue those, but there'll be action further action required under number 14 for time extensions, 14F. 14. Very good.
Do you have a date for when they're asking for the time extension until?
Yes, I do. Okay, thanks. So there are two other projects that require time extension. The first being the Inglesia Pentecostal land development plan. That's two parcels of land located at 1124 and 1119 Luzerne. Sorry, 1124 Schuylkill Avenue and 1119 Luzerne. That time extension will be granted through August 30th, 2022.
Okay, do I hear a motion to extend the review period of the Ecclesia Pentecostal Church review until August 30th of 2022?
Lee Olson makes that motion.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Second?
Bob Conklin.
Bob, very good. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. And
And
the
then,
second?
the last one is for the Villa Independent Cottages located at 1201 Museum Road. The applicant has granted a time extension through August 24th, 2022.
And that is, for those following along, that is 13R on the agenda. Do I hear a motion to accept the extension of the review period for the Villa Independent College's preliminary land development plan until August 24th?
I'll offer that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Will. Second?
Lee Olson will second.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Question on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. The, that pretty well handles that. On to announcements. And let me see here. The only thing I have is we did have a certification hearing for the Blighted Property Review Committee. I think we certified 21 properties, but we removed 14 from the list. So once again, people are slowly, we are slowly removing properties off the list that have been certified in the past and getting them to be functional properties. So that, you know, that even though it's been taking a while since we started the Blighted Property Review Committee, Lee and I started back on 2007 on that project, and it's good to see that things are happening with that. That's my only announcement. Anything from staff? Okay, very good.
Just very briefly, Matthew Fessler from our office is on the screen. He attended tonight virtually. Should there be a need at some point for him to cover for me, I asked him to attend, but. So
Okay.
Matt, if you just want to say hi.
Yes, thanks, Michelle. Yes, it was a pleasure being here tonight. So I'm sorry I couldn't make it in person, but got a good experience sitting in on you. So thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us, Matthew.
Yeah, I have something, Mr. Chairman. We had our elections last month, and I don't remember. I think it's just an informal process. I guess we reappoint, I don't know if we do it or the chairman does it, our liaison to the city and our representative to the Blighted Property Review Committee. Maybe you remember what our protocol is, but I think we should note it on the record if it's just an appointment.
Oh, yeah, actually, I am doing both of those positions now, and I am willing to move forward with that in conjunction with me being chairman for the next year. So if there is no objections from the commission members, I will continue functioning in those two capacities.
Yeah, I think that's good, Mr. Chair. That way we'll have it in the record and so that you're officially in that capacity. It'll be in the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. And lastly, approval of the planning commission meeting minutes from April 26th of 2022. Are there any major corrections? I think I had a few, but they've been taken care of already.
Yeah, and once again, very, very minor. This format is a lot easier to follow and to proofread and it's clear and very, very. Just, I don't remember what they were, even minor grammatical things, punctuation, and that again. So, with your and my corrections being made, I would move the approval of the minutes for the April 26th meeting.
Okay, thank you, Will. Do I hear a
Second.
second? Okay, thank you, Nelson.
You're welcome.
Question on the motion?
Chairman, I'm gonna sustain because I was not at the meeting.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, and with, and Bob has abstained since he wasn't able to make it last month, but since we had a quorum, everything's fine.
Will, please send me your comments, then that way I can address them.
I sent an email mid to late afternoon
Okay,
today. So,
thanks.
yeah, if you didn't get it, let me know. Yep, thank you. They're probably the same thing Wade noticed, but maybe not.
See here, any other comments from staff or the commissioners? Yeah, our next planning commission meeting is Tuesday, June 28th, 2022 at 6 p.m. We shall see if we can continue with the hybrid version of this, since Berks County has moved into recommended masking again. So we, we'll keep you informed about that. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Lee Olson moves to adjourn.
Okay, thank you,
Second.
Lee. Nelson is seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate everything, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bye, everybody.
Aye.
Be safe.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.